Connie Kadansky, I am so pleased that you have joined me this morning. I am recording this. I've had a few people say they cannot be here, and I am happy to send that to the people that are also on the call today. The inner game of prospecting, yes indeed, 80% of your success with prospecting is due to your emotional intelligence. Prospecting is an emotional exercise. Do you need the right scripting for you? Absolutely. It is not a technical exercise. It is an emotional exercise, and that's why I call it the inner game of prospecting. So before I get started, is it okay if I share with you why you should listen to me today? Back in 1997, I was a call-reluctant salesperson. I was motivated, goal-oriented. However, I had just reached my peak, and I was taking a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got on the internet, and I found the book, The Psychology of Sales Call Reluctance. I ordered that book, and I was reading it, and I thought, this is my issue. I flew to Dallas. I went through the Fear-Free Prospecting Workshop. I coached with one of the authors for 10 weeks. And after that, Shannon Goodson said, Connie, you get this. I purchased a license from them and have been working with salespeople in diverse industries across the world in overcoming that sales call reluctance, which is a hesitation to prospect and self-promote. And that's what we are going to talk about today and help you with. So thank you for being here. And if you want to communicate with me at any time, I will check the question and answers over here and make sure that I will answer as we go. Sometimes audiences are more inquisitive and curious than others. I hope you are going to pay attention today. And I look forward to leading you through the solution to overcoming sales call reluctance. So opportunities are everywhere. We live in a historic time of accelerated change. And I don't believe any of you would argue with me on that one, right? There is no better time on the face of the earth to be successful, because there are so many opportunities and so many choices for the people that are actually proactively recognizing the opportunities and capitalizing on them. And sometimes they're just under our nose, and we do need strategy, because there are so many opportunities that we can get goal diffused, right? And I believe that all salespeople must have a list of 20 to 30, at the very most, 50 prospects that they are pursuing at any given time, because we communicate with prospects at different levels, don't we? So just know there are opportunities out there for you. And an opportunity is never lost. The ones you miss go to somebody else. So let's talk about the agenda. I'm going to share 2 matrices with you today to set the context of this conversation, and I can tell you it may make you a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to talk about how you can integrate being valuable, visible, and vocal in your prospecting dynamic. We're going to talk about how you are showing up in your prospecting, and I call it your way of being. Yes, indeed, we have a way of being when we're prospecting, whether we like it or not, and oftentimes it is so conflicted, so convoluted, that we are projecting onto our prospect all our fears, apprehensions, and anxiety, and we're going, why? How come they're not connecting? What's going on here? Where we have a responsibility to take a look at how we are showing up. What is our way of being? I'm going to give you what I call a $100,000 clearing question. Why do I call it a $100,000 clearing question? Because this question if used and implemented, can make you $100,000 within the next year. I am that confident in this. So are you glad you showed up today? Yes, indeedy. I'm glad you're here too. We're going to talk about 4 of the 16 types of call reluctance. 4 ways, the 4 top ways that people limit themselves with the call reluctance. And at the end of the program, I'm going to talk to you about a system to skillfully start executing your actions and develop new business. So how's that? So hang in there with me, pay attention, and let's get started. Now, with this matrix, we all want profitable prospecting. And how do we manage it? Well, guess what? In order to experience profitable prospecting, meaning that you get in front of prospects that have a need you can solve, they have a problem you can solve, they're the decision maker, they have a sense of urgency, they have the money, whatever it takes in order for your solution, and they trust you in some way, or they can develop trust with you. Those are the 5 components of a qualified prospect. And so many of my clients who come to me are afraid to qualify their prospects. And when we're afraid to qualify our prospects, we're talking to a bunch of people that really don't have a need that we can solve, right? So what do I mean by that? Is to be able to have the courage and the value to ask your prospects, how much personal focus and attention do they give to evaluating and managing solutions to improve whatever it is that you're selling, to improve their financial well-being, to improve their capacity in the software industry, right? I mean, we have so many different people on that it's hard to say because of all the diverse industries, right? But to be able to have that courage, and so many times salespeople are afraid to hear the answer. However, do you need more practice, right? So what does this say here? That you must have a vision, skills, properly incentivized, resources, and an action plan in order for you to profitably prospect. Without that vision, you're confused and there's no direction. And believe it or not, the majority of people that suffer from call reluctance, they're also shaky on their vision. What do I mean by that? A vision is what magnetizes you forward, because it is uncomfortable in order to proactively prospect. But when you have a vision in place that magnetizes you to it, you will go beyond your call reluctance. You will be emotionally resilient. You'll be unstoppable. And so when we're working with people with call reluctance, I need to make sure that I'm really working on call reluctance issue, or is it they do not have a vision? And guess what? You can develop it. I promise you, I'm going to give you a resource. You like it? Are you glad you came here today? The skills, what are the skills that you need to develop? The skill of writing a script that is going to create a conversation. The emotional skill to handle your feelings when you're prospecting. What other skills do you need? The skill of answering the objections. What are you doing in that regard? Are you answering? Are you talking to people and bringing up the common objections? What do you do when somebody gives you the reflexive no, right? So those are the skills that we're talking about. And I am going to just say incentives. If you're not properly incentivized, that's a big issue that I cannot solve. You must feel incentivized with whatever it is that you're doing in order to do it. Because if you're not incentivized, there's resistance, right? The resources abound. And it's so interesting. Some people call me with their call reluctance and they'll say, Connie, a gentleman said, I have 300,000 prospects from my bank. Prospects are not an issue. And then other people call me and they say, I don't have anybody on my prospecting list. So those resources are very important, because if you don't have the resources to help you through your coaching or whatever, you're going to be very frustrated. If you don't have resources to keep your pipeline full of potential prospects, you're very frustrated. And without an action plan, it's a lot of stop and go, which is no fun, a lot of false starts. So when you look at that, what is missing in your prospecting equation? Normally I do polls. Today I decided not to do polls. You can certainly come over here in the Q&A and just write in there, and I won't call you out by name. What is missing in your profitable prospecting equation? Somebody said vision. Another, vision. Action plan, vision, skills, resources. So somebody's saying resources, right? Well, we can help you with those resources. Okay, so how are we doing on setting the context of our conversation today? Now, once you start looking at identifying your prospects, right? So when you look at the 5 component of a sales process is you identify your prospect, the company, if you're selling to a company, the individual within the company, right? Then you need to have something that is going to help you initiate contact. What's your plan on initiating contact? What's your plan on introducing yourself? What's your process control? Is you call them and leave a voice message. What is it that you're measuring on a daily basis, and how are you using your time? Now, this matrix is where most salespeople start squirming because they're winging it. And I promise you, the top performers, they have a vision. They have a plan for their prospecting, and it does take discipline and dedication. They have process control. What do I mean by that? If I left a voicemail yesterday, do I leave a voicemail tomorrow? Do I look to connect with them on LinkedIn? Do I send them an introductory email? What is it that I'm going to do to control my process to make sure that I follow through? And what is it that I'm measuring? How many appointments do I need? How many people do I need to talk to? What are my high-value activities that I have written out? And how am I blocking my time? Distractions, we cannot control distractions. We can block our time. And there are different ways to do that. So we've set the stage, haven't we? When you don't have a vision, no motivation, no direction. You don't have a car reluctance issue, you have a vision issue. And I work with people on getting their vision, and sometimes it is so hard for people, but I've got a way to help you with that. If you don't have planning, there's no focus. You have no proof of intention that you're doing anything. The process control, you're powerless. There's a lot of futility if you don't have control of your process, contact management systems, etc. If you're not measuring something, you're spinning your wheels. Look about as scorekeeping. We're in the Cubs and the Indians, right, in this World Series. How many fans want to go, and if you go to the game and they say, oh, we're just not going to scorekeep today. We're just going to play ball, but we're not going to scorekeep. How fun would that be? It would not be fun. It would not be challenging. But for salespeople, that measurement can make them squirm a little bit, right? And how are you using your time? Are you using your time in an efficient way? 24 hours a day. Successful people, they don't have 25 hours. If you're not using your time, the day is controlling you. And we're really succumbing to our comfort zone there, right? So I'm here in Arizona, and I'm going to take a quick sip of water while you ponder that matrix. What is it in your execution that is missing? So I have people saying planning, measurement, time. So it seems like time is predominantly the issue over here in the Q&A. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I'm going to step into the hornet's nest. What do I mean by that? I've already set the stage. This is not for the weak. This is not for the faint of heart. I've had somebody already jump off because it can get pretty hot here, right? So we're creating that. And I'm going to step into the hornet's nest and suggest a mindset to you that might get you a little aggravated, because you might say, I have certifications, I have degrees. That's really important to me. Well, here's the mindset that I actually promote, that you're a professional lead generator who happens to sell whatever you sell. You are a lead generator first and foremost. You were hired to prospect. The sale begins and ends in prospecting. Then you sell yourself, then you sell your product or service. So is it okay that you say, I'm a professional lead generator who happens to sell financial services, but I'm a CFP. I have a degree. That's more important than lead generation. Well, it's a perspective, and this is what I'm encouraging you to ponder on. So when you're out and about, it's really the thin threads, and when you're actively prospecting, here's what's going on. Our energy follows our focus. And if our energy is on new business development, our energy follows that, right? And here's what I have found, that I can do prospecting in certain areas, and I am energetically putting out there, I am open for new business. And guess what? New business comes, and it may not be coming from where I'm prospecting, but it's coming from somewhere else. And those are the thin threads that lead you to the qualified prospect who has the problem you can solve, and the timing is right now. So we have to be willing to follow those thin threads through our planning, our process control, our follow-through, so that we can make those deals. Oftentimes, salespeople, when they don't have that planning and process control, just because it wasn't good timing for somebody today doesn't mean that a month from now it is going to be, it's not going to be good timing, right? So following those thin threads that put you closer to a goal. Now, when I started today in the agenda, I talked about how you are showing up. So when you pick up the phone to prospect, 100% of communication is taking place. Only 7% are the words that are coming out of your mouth. 38%, no, when you're on the phone, 27% are the words, 73% is your tone. You cannot hide your way of being. Now, here's how I define way of being. We're all in our own little world. Your prospect, they're living in their own little world. They have families, they have travel, they have responsibilities, they have classes, they're getting certifications, etc., right? So we're all living in our own little world. The way we show up is how we are personally observing and perceiving our world. What do I mean by that? Your way of being speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you have to say. And so people that experience fear and call reluctance, like I said, it's very confusing how they're approaching their prospect and what's coming across in their tone. And so how are you observing and perceiving your value to your prospect? If you're not convinced of your value, you will not convey the value. And so that's why there's so much confusion and discouragement around prospecting. And when I work with my client, it's truly an inside out. And it's only for the very, very courageous. And so we have a way that we're observing and perceiving the prospect. And so many salespeople are inwardly focused on how is that prospect of value to them, seeing their prospect as a vehicle to get the salesperson where they want to go. Guess what, folks? Prospects are way too much sophisticated anymore. They pick up on how you're perceiving them. Are you perceiving them as a partner? Are you perceiving the commonalities that just like you, that they want to be successful? Just like you, they want people to provide them with products and services that will save them money, save them time, get them closer to their goal. And we need to really start pondering that. So the question is, how are you showing up to your prospect? That's a biggie, because it's an opportunity and a privilege to knock on somebody's door and to penetrate into their world and talk to them about something that is important to them. It's having an outward mindset. And it's okay for you to then go inward and think, how can this help you get closer to your goal? And then outward again. So if you take nothing away from this slide, you cannot hide how you're observing and perceiving your world. And if you're cranky and negative and distrustful, that's why it can be confusing and people are not receptive, because we have an antenna that is projecting out through our tone when we're on the phone and when you're in front of people, your body language, right? And so that is something to really ponder here, so that you can start creating the mindset that you are there to be of value to that client. You're a rescuer. You are there to help them with a challenge, a burden, a tribulation, a trial, something that's going to solve one of their problems. So the critical behaviors of profitable prospectors is they position themselves and they make sure that their prospect notices them. That's where you can reach out on LinkedIn. I had somebody the other day, it took her a month to accept my invitation on LinkedIn, and yesterday she did. I have called her a few times, but you know what? She's in a high-level position. So you make sure that you get noticed. And you have to have a style that they'll remember you in a positive way, right? So remember you, and you need to consistently show up. I had a client, a financial advisor, for 13 years. She has sent a birthday and a Thanksgiving card to somebody. For 13 years, she made a call every quarter. No response, nothing, none of that. Okay, 13 years later, guess what? She gets a call from somebody and said, you were persistent and stayed up with me. I am retiring, and I've got a $700,000 rollover, IRA rollover, and I want you to help me. Wow, persistency, showing up consistently, right? So these are the critical behaviors of people who are savvy promoters of what they do. So who can you see or call today that's going to get you closer to your goal and help them achieve a goal? What is there about your style that gets people to remember you? Do they remember you in a positive way? And are you willing to show up consistently? That is so important. It is so exciting. So what is the solid for top sales performance? Visibility. It's all about visibility. And you definitely need to be visible and relevant and solve a problem. right? And you need to have some credibility, and so we're all working on our credibility. What is it that you do that's worthy of their confidence? And you need to have laser sharp scripting to have a prospecting conversation with a person that you perceive as a human being, not a vehicle to help you get where you want to go. But there's a formula for scripting. I have a contact for you on that. Somebody that has studied sales inside out, upside down, and he has created a formula. I'm going to do a joint webinar with him in the future soon. So how do you know if you're call reluctant? You're on the call today, and there's not as much money in your wallet, and you don't have enough appointments on your calendar. That's how you know if you are call reluctant. It's all about conversations. So engaging people, but eventually you need to talk to people, right? And how are you going to be able to pick up the phone? People aren't calling the phone. And a lot of my clients say, well, I just get voicemail. Well, learn how to leave a really good voicemail so that they are intrigued to call you back. Yes, indeed. That is so important. So let's look at a sales model. I referred to this earlier. You identify your prospect. So you can initiate contact, introduce yourself, your product and service, and give that all coveted in form where you get to do your sales presentation, and then influence them to buy from you. Where are you doing well? What are you good at? How much strategy does it take? I was referred to a book the other day, Hope is Not a Strategy, for people that are in the complex sale. I ordered it from Amazon. I can't wait to get that book because I think that we need more strategy than ever before, and knowing the opportunities are out there. And also, people at high levels within organizations are starting to be open, more open. And what do I mean by that? On LinkedIn, I saw a conversation where a high-level executive said, I would be derelict in my duty if I did not listen to salespeople who wanted to sell me something in my industry. He said, the last Friday afternoon of every month, I talk to prospects, and if I feel that there is something there, I give them an opportunity to present to me, because I may be missing out on something that could be very, very important. Oh my goodness, that guy's a visionary. And there are so many other sales and executives that they just have 2 or 3 gatekeepers, and they don't want to learn something. However, I mean, where's the curiosity? When they go, well, I'm so important. But you know what? There are companies that are losing market share because their competitor actually listened to a salesperson who had technology that could improve their product. I'm very aware of a company that happened to. The CEO goes, why did we lose our market share? Well, we didn't listen to the salesperson that had technology, and our competitor did. So let's open up and be comfortable and start talking to salespeople, because if you're not willing to take a call from a salesperson and then you're trying to call somebody, another contradiction. Yes, indeed. How am I doing over here? Am I making sense today? And somebody goes, yeah, you're making good sense. Okay, I like it. Thank you for that. So the single best predictor, the high correlation between prospecting and sales success. Absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, because your energy, your thought is saying, I am out there for new business, and your creativity opens up. People fall into your lap when you are there. So what is prospecting? It's the proactive steps that you take to identify, qualify, and get in front of prospects. Do you love it or what? So what's your favorite excuse for not prospecting? What's your favorite excuse for not prospecting? You can put over here in the Q&A. Let's see, what is somebody putting in over here? They're afraid of rejection. Oh my goodness, we are going to talk about that. I don't have enough time. I'm not a planner. I don't have enough prospects to call. What's your favorite excuse, right? That's justifying something that is keeping you from your next sale. So successful salespeople experience pain. So the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, right? And so it does take discipline to create a vision, have a plan, process control, measure, and use your time. It does take discipline, but wow, when you have that, you will start getting the result you want, and you're just going to be so much better. Your way of being is going to be so much more confident, right? Or the pain of regret, and you can just wallow in your excuses, right? And so it does take some of that discipline and dedication. So here's what call reluctance is. It's that emotional hesitation. So when you're reaching out to pick up that phone and you hesitate, that is called reluctance, right? You reach out to pick up the phone and you say, oh, I need to check in one more time. Or I wonder how the market's doing today. Or I wonder what time the World Series game is tonight. Oh, I need to remember. I need to get a birthday card for somebody, right? So that's what call reluctance is, that emotional hesitation. So there's only two ways for you to view prospecting, all that opportunity. So this comes to what is your way of being, how you're perceiving and observing prospecting. There's only two ways to perceive prospecting, and one is it's an opportunity. One is it's competitive intelligence. One is that you're putting yourself out there and letting the world know that you are open for business, right? So you can see that as an opportunity. I actually play a little bit of a mind game with me and see it as an experiment. And notice if I left 12 voicemails, how many people called me back, right? Knowing that the first voicemail is probably not going to get anywhere. But what about the second? And then you start analyzing, right? When you start doing measurement, you start really knowing where you're breaking down. Okay, so we can see it as an opportunity or an emotional threat. So call reluctance is an invisible barrier that we build around ourselves. It's an invisible barrier that we perceive that is protecting us from something. When we put ourselves in a self-protective barrier, we are perceiving we're protecting ourselves from an emotional threat. So we see prospecting as an opportunity or an emotional threat. Nobody's going to reach out and punch you, right? But emotionally, it stimulates a fear in us. And with my coaching and training, we get to the bottom of the fear and we start having you shift your perspective, become aware and observe. You start reorienting yourself. You start reorganizing yourself and your way of being, and you will start identifying on being a confident business developer. Do you love it or love it? I love doing these because you know what? The teacher teaches what the teacher needs to learn. And I need to learn this too. I need to learn it from the more than most people, and I'm still interested in it, right? And so let's talk about the 4 steps to eliminate call reluctance. Be aware. So if you're here today and you're not happy with what's in your bank account, and you're not happy with your account appointment calendar, there's some call reluctance. To assess, you can take a free assessment. Email me and I'll send you the free assessment, or you can invest in a comprehensive diagnostic that will actually really help you come to grips with where you are. And if we find out that you just don't have a vision, you're not prospecting because you don't know the why behind what you're doing, or you're not emotionally connected to it. Intellectually you may be, but emotionally you aren't. Highly recommend, I'm going to talk about that you take a look at the assessment. Number 3, you admit. That's the hardest one for most people. They do not have the humility to admit. and it scares them to admit it. But they hide, deny, and suppress their call reluctance. And they never ask themselves, what is it that I'm protecting myself from? I'm actually protecting myself and creating a barrier that's keeping me from reaching out and going on my next sales call. So admitting does take that. And once you have humbled yourself to admit it, then you can move forward. And number 4, apply proven techniques. So there are many, many different techniques. I'm going to cover one of them here. I'm looking at the time. I think we're doing pretty good here. And on this, is this all making sense? So this is what you need to do to eliminate your call reluctance. So when you're ready to pick up the phone and you stop, write down what is causing you to stop. This morning I was coaching an individual. He's in financial services, and we really zeroed in on, okay, what is causing him to stop? And the first thing is that I am interrupting them. I'm interrupting my prospect. So that is call reluctance. And then he said, oh, they're already taken care of. They've already done everything. So he's right. That's call reluctance. And then the last one is they're just going to think I'm another sales guy. All those are call reluctance, but your freedom is in you writing it down. So we've got to figure out, what is it? What is stimulating that? What is causing this? Because in order to change a habit, you must be aware of it, and you must observe it. And some people go, well, I didn't want to get out there and prospect, but you know what? They suffer from call reluctance and battle it for years and years, and then they lose steam, and then they're wiped out. I don't want that to be that for you. Wow, your confidence will soar when you take this on. You will free yourself out of that cage, that psychological cage that you have yourself in, and you will discover a whole new world out there that is so beautiful. My favorite quote is Albert Einstein said, the most important decision you can make, that this is a friendly universe. And right now, in our political climate, we think, wow, that you cannot succumb to the grief of negativity. You cannot do it. You magnetize your thoughts toward limitless possibilities. The possibilities are limitless. The opportunities are limitless. Are you hunkering down and really not serving people because of your call reluctance? So over-prepare is the overthinker. There's 16 types of call reluctance. They way overthink. Way overthink their prospecting. They overanalyze. The yielder behavior is they want to make a friend. They don't want to interrupt anybody. They don't want to cause any, and they're professional visitors, and they're all about relationship. And I love these people. I'm talking about their behavior, not them, right? So I am talking about behavior, not people. But there are a lot of professional visitors out there that have a perception that I need to build a relationship first. When is the last time you got a check that said friendship bonus, relationship bonus? So you are actually serving your clients by moving the conversation forward. You are actually serving your clients by asking them questions that make them think and make them uncomfortable. We don't change anything unless we're a little bit uncomfortable, right? So then the role rejection is they're just not comfortable being in the role. And you are all salespeople. A salesperson is somebody who solves people's problems for a profit. And if you're ashamed of your career, wow, you've got an inner conflict that is just zapping your energy. And in the financial services, insurance, this is toxic. Absolutely toxic, and oftentimes the role rejection is throughout the entire company, all the way up to the chairman of the board. The research that behavioral science has done on that. So it's okay to solve people's problems for a profit. It's okay to be a sales agent. It's okay to be a salesperson when you are outwardly focused on helping people achieve their goals, right? And if you have this is even people who are succeeding can have a real rejection. And telephobia, if this is the only type of call reluctance you have. So people are going, nobody answers their phone anymore. We think not. And how many prospecting calls do you get? I mean, we're getting a little political. You know, I will always talk to salespeople. I've unplugged my caller ID. The only people I hang up on is if it's a robo-dialer, right? I don't talk to machines. But if it's a genuine salesperson, I will have a conversation with them if I'm in my office and not under a really strict deadline. Telephobia, you can overcome it in one day if that is your call reluctance. One day. How do you like that? Now, the technique for overcoming call reluctance is called thought realignment. Now, this is the basic. There are other ones out there, but the basic one, whatever you are thinking, right, whatever you are perceiving and observing around prospecting, it stimulates a feeling. And if you are saying to yourself, prospecting doesn't work, I'm just going to get voicemail, it stimulates a negative feeling and it alters your action, right? And so part of call reluctance, and it's a habit, to change that habit, you must be aware and observe it. And if it makes you antsy, that's where you have your vision is what's going to hold you solid as you work through your call reluctance. So what is a belief? All a belief is that what a thought you think over and over and over again. And so if you have a belief, there is so much opportunity out there. Guess what? You create situations that validates your belief. There's so much opportunity out there. Wow. Opposed to, oh my gosh, nobody wants to talk to me, right? And so your belief, you get what you believe, not what you want. And whatever you're believing becomes your attitude, which is your way of being. How are you observing and perceiving your world? Your value to your prospect, the prospecting activity, the prospect on the other end of the line. I am really interweaving that message here because that's what I want you to get. You can't fake it anymore. You really cannot fake it. You've got an antenna on the top of your head that is projecting your way of being. And so with that thought realignment, you start really consciously governing what you choose to focus on and think about. And it's our little habits of thought can take us down the rabbit hole. But it's just like we're going to discipline ourselves. We're going to consciously become acutely aware and discipline the way that we are choosing to think. How we doing? So the one that said over here, what keeps you from prospecting is fear of rejection. All fear of your rejection is, it is your, my friend, your negative interpretation. I'm going to take a sip of water. If somebody tells you no, you are certainly free to choose to believe it as rejection of you. But when you do that, you have a negative emotion that's followed by negative behavior and negative results. Nobody can reject you. If you're feeling a fear of rejection, you are personally, and I'm telling you this to help you, you are personally rejecting yourself, your value, and what you do. Because if you were sitting in front of me, and let's just say your hair's blonde, and I look out to you and I say, I can't stand your green hair. You would look at me and you go, I don't have green hair. It would not one bit affect you because it's not true. You wouldn't accept it. But if somebody tells you no, that they're not open to talking to you, and you choose to believe it's about you, that's where emotional intelligence comes in. And you say, no. So if you're going to build a self-protective barrier, is a barrier around your thinking is like, it's not about me. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. And we've got to monitor it. We got to watch because we make up stories. We make up stories when somebody doesn't call us back. They didn't like me. I made a mistake. When in reality, maybe their teenager is misbehaving. Maybe their mother broke her hip. But we make up all these stories that throw us down the self-doubt spiral. Do you like it? So what is it that blocks your success? Limited beliefs, assumptions, perceptions and interpretations, and your inner critic. That's what I really work on with my clients in my coaching calls, right? So what is it we're choosing to focus on? So that's a really, so here are some of the things that people, when they're ready to pick up that phone, have any of you ever said that, right? What if I mess up? They're going to say they're not interested. They'll think I'm trying to sell them something. You are trying to sell them something. You're trying to sell them on having them engage with you. And how engaging are you? What's your way of being that actually engages them? You give them the opportunity to qualify themselves, right? That's where your scripting of the conversation comes in. Oh, this is one that already have a vendor who they absolutely love. Oh, they just love them. And then this is stupid. That's the inner critic, right? That's the inner critic working there. I'll blow the contact. I feel inadequate. So oftentimes we think, man, I'm not going to call this really qualified. I might blow it. I feel inadequate. They'll be upset I interrupted them. You are interrupting people. However, I mean, think about it. If you leave a voicemail with somebody and it's encouraging, friendly, enticing, talk about what it is that you want to talk to them, ask them to give you a call back at their earliest convenience. How many times are people sitting in a restaurant or waiting for somebody and they're begging for something that they can do so they can listen to your voicemail, right? We're the ones that throw ourselves down the self-doubt spiral. That's all there is to it. We throw ourselves down the self-doubt spiral by making up stories that make us miserable, right? And so that's why you have to have a lot of different prospects out there. So if one doesn't respond to you, that you don't get all panicky, right? So my director of insurance that I've been trying to get a hold of, and we actually had an appointment, and it was on Columbus Day, and she didn't show up, and I emailed her, and what? Well, guess what? 2 months later, she accepted on LinkedIn. So now I can reconnect. I see you reconnected with me on LinkedIn. What's your schedule like? I mean, I'm trying to qualify her. But you know what? I have a whole bunch of other prospects in the pipeline too, right? And for you. Now, unresolved issues of car reluctance, they do not get better. I've had salespeople who talk to me and then they choose not to address their car reluctance, and guess what? A year from now, or maybe 6 months from now, they're going to a psychologist who actually puts them on medication, and they lose their zest. And I'm not saying you need to, some people need to go see a psychologist, but that's what's happening. So are you the kind of individual that has the strength to believe in you, that you are greater than your car reluctance? You're not your car reluctance. You're experiencing car reluctance, but you're not car reluctant. And when people put it off, what happens is their earnings go down, their spouses get upset, and it really creates havoc for them in their personal, professional life. So here's the 100,000 clearing question, okay? So let's just say, I'm going to stand up here because I'm going to get some energy behind this, is when you're prospecting somebody, and let's just say they say, no, and they just really do let you know that they're not interested. To ask yourself, so how does it get better than this? You start asking yourself this, you literally change the chemistry in your body. So you stop making up stories and you start asking yourself, so how does it get better than this? No matter what happens, you set an appointment and somebody gives you a $1 million order. How does it get better than this? You are literally engaging your brain at a different level. That is what is so powerful about that. How does it get better than this? I have my clients put 10 coins in one pocket every day, and every little bit they move a coin to the other side of their pocket and say, how does it get better than this? They have a prospecting session that they left 12 voicemails, and instead of going, oh, I lost so many, they go, how does it get better than this? Where are some resources that can help me? How does it get better than this? Versus whining about, I got 12 voicemails today. How does it get better than this? How does it get better than this? I'm going to reach out to them on LinkedIn. How does it get better than this? I'm going to formulate an email. How does it get better than this? I'm going to leverage a relationship that's going to introduce me to them, right? So you become creative and strategic. This is so good. Is this good or good? Wow. Am I giving some really good content today? I hope you appreciate it. I know you do, because how does it get better than this? So I mentioned this. In the middle of your brain, you have a hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the chemical factory in your brain. Every thought you think, your hypothalamus literally creates and brings together chemicals, hormones that match your thought. So you cannot succumb to grief and negativity, because when you do, your hypothalamus pumps out chemicals to match the fear, the grief, the anxiety, and it pulsates through your entire body. This is literally so important. There's a book called Molecules of Emotion, and that's what's happening there. So is this serious or what? So if your vision is big enough for you to do the work, emotionally connect to do that work, you can pull it together and have a different focus. Focus is the new competitive advantage, and this is really very important. So I can, I choose, I have, I can, I will, I choose, versus I can't, I have to, I'll try. Right? What's that hypothalamus doing? I can't do this anymore, or I have to prospect. Opposed to taking accountability, I choose to prospect. Yes. So what would it be like to be at ease with prospecting? What would it be like? Somebody said, oh, a breath of fresh air. What would it be like to be at ease with prospecting? What do you want your relationship to be like with prospecting? So we have relationship with people, but we have relationship with activity. We have relationship with our sports events. We have relationships with what we do for fun, a relationship with prospecting, a relationship. And is our relationship with prospecting a love, hate, dread? And that's the way our way of being is showing up. And you know what? Not going to be that effective, is it? So for you to even start pondering, what would it be like? Your hypothalamus is pumping out completely different chemicals when you engage that way. What would it be like to be at ease with prospecting? Oh, it would be so much fun, right? Okay, kids, I'm really serious about that. So we've talked about some heavy things here today. So what I want you to just say to yourself right now, just to say, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. I know we have some people that are in a conference room listening, right? It's all going to work out. Do a high five. It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. Smile. It's all going to work out. Right. Wow. Literally changing the chemistry in your body, right? Your internal communication is what we look at. How are you internally communicating with you? In a positive way, a constructive way. And it's okay to say, I'm experiencing some anxiety around this, but you're not the anxiety. You're experiencing it. You're not hiding, denying it. I'm experiencing car reluctance, but I'm not car reluctant. Wow. As my children, I'm not car reluctance. I'm a super person, right? And today is the most exciting day of my life. Wow, what would happen to you if you started and woke up? So we think all these big events, the day I get married, the day I have a baby or whatever. Today is the most exciting day of my life. Today can be the most exciting day of your life for you to come to grips with what it's going to take for you to constructively work yourself through the call reluctance. What did I say today that resonates with you? What came out of this conversation today that resonates with you in a way that you are going to move forward and implement and do something else? There's nothing else that you're going away. Somebody put having a vision. Oh, my friend, you're closer than you know. You get the vision. We create twice, once in mind and then in our physical world. So confidence is the ability to transform your fear into focus-related thinking, communication, and action. Focus-related thinking, constructive thinking. What value can I create for people today? The internal communication and the actions that you take, the execution, right? And so there, you all want more confidence. Wow, you can transform that. So for those of you that are interested in the diagnostic and the book, $225, take a diagnostic, takes you about 72 minutes. We're going to figure out once and for all what you're good at and what it's going to take to get you where you want to go. And then you and I review it. We spend some time together. I put you on your way. You might want to continue coaching with me, which is so fun and so positive. I love my clients. I love them, giving them the challenges, and they really start believing in themselves. Believe in you. Believe in your value. Wow, you'll be emotionally resilient and unstoppable. And I work here in the 12-week year. Oh, I didn't change my slide here. I'm going to be starting another group. This is a powerful system where we are on camera with a group of people, 6 people. I've got a co-facilitator for 1 hour a week, and we work you through a system that is powerfully built on your vision so you can get your planning, your process control, your measurement, and your time use. And you can start doing that. So if you're interested in this, you email me. I'll send you the link there. So we have 6 people on camera. We're studying the 12-week yearbook. It's a New York Times bestseller, written extremely well. Do not reach out to them. You reach to me. They have programs that you can buy that you have to work it on your own. And my experience in 18 years is no matter how good it is, which I know it's good, you need to have a step-by-step process where you're accountable and where you're participating in a group with other people. So this is a very, very good book. I'm your contact there, and I promise you that I have seen people transform their sales experience through this. So how's that? Is this good or good? And one last promotion, if you know of any organization that needs a speaker or a training event, I am fun, and it is powerful content just like I gave you today. So if you're aware of anything, so please remind me and think about me. So with that, I'm looking at the time here. I want to honor your time. We scheduled 1 hour. We have 2 minutes to go. Are there any questions over here that anybody has for me? Because I'm recording this, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the recording right now, and then I will take questions. So I'm going to stop.